Today is very special day, 23rd Friday, January 2026 still. So today is appearance, many very auspicious occasion today. So first of all is Vasant Panchami, the first day of spring. We just had Makara Sankranti, when the sun begins its northern movement, and the sun is literally rising earlier now and setting later. So the days have started to get longer. That was about a week ago. But then today, Vasant Panchami is like it's a very distinct change from the previous very cold winter season. Today we had like almost a warm wind blowing this morning. It wasn't icy cold. And there was rain for the first time in about 4 months. So very special day, Vasant Panchami. So we'll celebrate, and I'll say something about all these holy personalities. And first of all, we'll offer our pranams. Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Ang Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat, Kuruna Varatinokalo, Samara Paitam, Unnata Ujvala Rasam, Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundarata Tikadamba Satipita, Sadakradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shiksharstameka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Kripam Buddha Yastamaham Prapadye Yam Pravajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Matayot Taravo Benedustam Sarvutam Hridimurmanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamaye Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tatoma Manasti Katina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najiva Mitvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Madhya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And then again, I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to our most beloved Madhya-lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering my Sastang Dandavat pranams unto our dear most beloved Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami and all our divine Rupanuga Guru Varg and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So yes, today is Vasant Panchami, a very special day when Krishna performs his Rasa Lila. And sometimes we say that Sarat Purnima is the first Rasa Lila, or we can say that Vasant Panchami. Vasant Panchami is a special Vasant Rasa Lila, where just the selective gopis attend there. Not all the gopis attend the Vasant Rasa Lila. And this is performed there's two different locations. One is at Puchari, near the bottom of Giriraj Govardhan. There's a Rasa Stali there. And another is at Chandra Sarova. So in both instances, that Vasant Ras is performed there the first day of spring, when all the yellowing mustard blossoms are blooming. In the fields, as you drive along, you can just see yellow everywhere. And many of the residents, they will wear yellow today in celebration of this. And yellow, of course, is the color of Krishna's pitamba. And it's a very festive day and a festive season. So, as I said initially, it's quite remarkable how and distinct how the season appears to change right on this very day. So the wind became a little bit warm out of the cold winter, and we had rain. But it's a very sacred, special day. So I won't spend a lot of time on each of these topics, because I do want to get to our chapter 6 today also. But it's also Saraswati Puja. So there's two manifestations of Saraswati. There's Saraswati in the material world, and there's Divya Saraswati. When Lord Brahma is meditating at the beginning of creation on the lotus of growing from Garbhadakshay Vishnu's navel, he hears, first of all, Divya Saraswati saying this word tapa. This is from Divya Saraswati, from the divine world. And then Lord Brahma, he begins his tapasya, and he's performing archan to the Supreme Lord. That's his tapasya. This is all described very beautifully in my Gurudev's Brahma Samhita. And then there's the Saraswati in this world, which many local people, they will honor and celebrate, who gives benedictions of knowledge, of musical ability, of things like that. And they will pray to Saraswati Devi to give them increased talent in these areas. It's like we have the beautiful story of Keshav Kashmiri, and he was a full disciple of the Saraswati in this world, and she would be on the end of his tongue and allowing him to defeat all the scholars of India. Became a Digvijay. Dig means directions, victory. Vijay, direction. He was a Digvijay of all of Bharatvash. And our beautiful Nimai Pandit at that time, young Nimai, defeated him. So that was Keshav Kashmiri, who was worshipping the Saraswati in this world, not Divya Saraswati. So don't become confused about the two personalities. There's two distinct personalities. So also, it's the appearance day of Vishnu Priya. So Vishnu Priya always breaks everyone's heart, because she was the one who couldn't come to Shantipur when Mahaprabhu returned from his wanderings in Radhadesh and his desire to go to Vrindavan. We've just read this chapter. And Nityananda tricked him, and Advaita Acharya met him in a boat and had some extra cloth with him, but then took him back to Shantipur and fed him very nicely. And then there was a big festival there, because Mahaprabhu had just shaved up. And for the residents of Navadvip, this was traumatic. They had all been desperately attracted and affectionate towards Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu's beautiful, dark, golden locks, it's on this picture behind me, you can see in his kirtan. So Mahaprabhu, he shaved his head, and showing everybody in the world he was now going into the renounced order. So this is not a popular order amongst the people who are attracted to family life, etc. And everyone in Navadvip was attracted to the family life of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu had brought the residents up to a pitch of Sankirtan Ras for one whole year in Srivasangam. So everyone was being inundated with the Sankirtan Ras Mahaprabhu was manifesting at that time. But still Mahaprabhu was the son of Sachimati Mata. And he was very much loved as the son of Sachimata. But when he took sannyas, this was an indication he was going to leave Navadvip forever, because this is the injunction of the sannyas ashram, that you leave your family and you leave your familial environment forever. So everyone understands the precepts of sannyas, but it was because Vishwarup, previously Mahaprabhu's elder brother, had also taken sannyas, and Sankaranya, and he had gone to the south. So Mother Sachimata's heart was broken then, what to speak when Mahaprabhu left. But Mahaprabhu had just married his second wife, Vishnu Priya. Lakshmi Priya had died of a snake bite in separation when Mahaprabhu went to Bangladesh. And then his young wife, 14 years old, adoring the Lord, of course. This is Bhudevi. This is like Mother Earth. She is the Shakti, Bhakti Shakti, or Prem Shakti even, of Krishna. A very powerful personality. So Lakshmi Devi, of course, is connected with Lord Narayan. So that she left. And then Bhudevi, who's connected more with the path of Bhakti, she was his second wife, but in a very young 14-year-old body. And when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, that means for the rest of her life, she was going to be a widow. She's only 14 years old. So that was a big blow for her entire, like, how do you, a young girl in particular, how does she cope with something like that? So Mahaprabhu had gone to Shantipur with Advaita Acharya, and Nityananda, and Gadadhar Pandit was there also. And then all the devotees came. Mahaprabhu said, yes, you can all come. He's shaved, he's in his saffron robes. They all came to Shantipur to celebrate, to have a mahotsav, a festival of dancing and chanting and Sankirtan Ras with Advaita Acharya. Mother Sachi, she came in a palanquin and she cooked for those 10 days. And every person in Navadvip, it's described, came. All their dogs came even, the animals, etc., except Vishnu Priya. She was the only one who couldn't come. This was absolutely forbidden for the wife to come in the presence of the sannyas. Mother could come, that was no problem. But Vishnu Priya, so it's like a heartbreaking story. My Gurudev tells this pastime with so much feeling and mood that many times in his assembly they were weeping by the end of it. And so Vishnu Priya, she spends the rest of her life chanting and weeping, and every round she would chant, she would put one grain aside, and gradually at the end of her chanting she would have a pile of grains, and that rice she would cook, and she would give half to Mother Sachi and half to the servant Ishan, and she would take the remaining quarter herself. And she lived in front of the beautiful Thakurji of Mahaprabhu, her husband. So when he left home, that was a very momentous occasion, because Vishnu Priya, she had been to the Ganga that day, and she had lost her nose ring in the Ganga itself. And this is a very inauspicious omen. And she'd also stubbed her toe badly at the Ganga. So she was feeling some impending inauspicious action was going to take place. So when Mahaprabhu came home that evening, before he left, before he took the sannyas, she was very much on edge, wondering what was happening. And being a 14-year-old girl, what sort of interaction would they actually have with each other? So Mahaprabhu would never tell her, of course. And then we know in the evening that Kolavetra Sridhar, he brought a Loki, and someone else brought a liter of milk. And Mahaprabhu requests his mother to make this preparation with milk and Loki, a sweet preparation, to honor these offerings that had just been given to him. And then he celebrated this, forgotten the name of it. I think it's called Look Looky or something. Look Looky, yes, the name of the preparation, Look Looky. And he was feeding Vishnu Priya in a very affectionate way, talking very affectionately to her. He'd never done this before in his life, and Vishnu Priya was thinking, I am determined to stay awake tonight. I will not sleep. And, you know, because she was afraid that perhaps, because Mahaprabhu had told Nityananda, Chandrasekhar, and a couple of others that he was actually going to leave and take sannyas. So the word had kind of got out, was in the ether. So she was a little bit in anticipation about that and fear, and she was determined to stay awake. And Mahaprabhu was speaking very sweetly to her, and then it's described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that Yogamaya comes and puts like stones on her eyes, that she becomes so tired she cannot keep her eyes open. And then Yogamaya puts her to sleep. And at that time, then early in the morning, Mahaprabhu leaves the home, and Mother Sachi's sitting at the gate. And it's described that the birds don't even chirp in the trees, and the leaves just fall off in sympathy. Mother Sachi is like a stone. She can't compute this at all. Her last son is leaving. She's already lost 8 girls at birth, childbirth. Her elder, beautiful son, Vishnurup, he's gone, and now her last remaining support in life, basically, her Nimai, is going to leave. So Mahaprabhu, he can't speak to his mother at that time. He just circumambulates her. Then he bends down, touches her feet. Mother Sachi's just like a stone. She can't say anything. No, there's no words to say. What can you say? No compensation can. So then Mahaprabhu dives in the Ganga. This is in the month of Magh. This is in the month of January, February, when it's very, very cold. And then he floats more or less down to Katwa. That's where he takes the sannyas. But then after that, he tries to go to Vrindavan. We've just read the whole pastime, so I'm not going to prolong this. I've already prolonged. It's such a beautiful topic. How can you not say something about it? But Vishnu Priya is always thought of with great affection, because she was so young, and for the rest of her life, she would stay in the house. And when Mother Sachi left, she was still there. And Ishan, the servant, he was there taking care of the external things. And actually, Jiva Goswami, when he comes to Navadvip later on, with Nityananda, they go to the house of Mother Sachi. Mother Sachi's there, and Vishnu Priya cooks for them at the house at that time. And Jiva Goswami is just a young boy. He takes that prashadam from Vishnu Priya.
Dharmeshwari is that?
Dharmeshwari is the deity. It's said this, but my Gurudev actually said there was also another Dharmeshwari, Thakurji, which is the real one, because we never went to the Dharmeshwar temple with my Gurudev on Navadvip Parikrama ever, not once. And we often used to wonder why, so we asked why to many of these senior devotees there. And they explained that my Gurudev had some heated exchange with the pujaris there, because he was saying that this actually, because his Gurudev had told him that this wasn't the bona fide Dharmeshwari, it wasn't the bona fide deity that Vishnu Priya looked at. And there's another one, I can't remember where that is, but there's another one. And my Gurudev was supporting that other one, so he never ever took us there. We never went once.
Also to the other one he didn't take us also.
Huh?
To the other one also he never took us.
No, he never took us there also. It's true. It's true. So
I never wondered why.
it's a mystery a bit why we never went. But still, that Dharmeshwara deity is celebrated prominently today as being the deity that Vishnu Priya would worship. And she would have this tall, beautiful deity in her room with her, and that's who she served. And she's the embodiment of Bhakti Devi, as I said, and Prem, also this Prem. So Prem Ras, this is the embodiment, is Vishnu Priya. So today is her appearance day, and we remember very fondly of that pastime. So Vishnu Priya Ki Jai. And also it's the appearance day of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Pundarik Vidyanidhi was born in a place in Bangladesh, And close by his house was a dear friend of his called Madhava Goswami, I think his name. And this is actually the father of Gadadhar. They're from the same village. Chittagong, I think is the name of the village. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi, we know the pastime, he came to Navadvip, and Mukunda Datta was telling Gadadhar, a great Vaishnava has come to town. So Gadadhar was very anxious to meet a great Vaishnava, especially one recommended by Mukunda Datta. So he took to the darshan of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and they went into the place where he was staying, and it was extremely opulent. There were beautiful curtains, etc., cloths around. He was lying on a very soft bed. He had beautiful silk cloths on. He had oiled hair. There were servants fanning him. There were golden spittoons. There were just all moods of like a vishaya, like an enjoyer. He was sitting there in the lap of that. And Gadadhar became somewhat bewildered. Why has Gadadhar, of course, was brought up in a very austere way himself. This is directly Sri Radhika, so had no attraction whatsoever to the material world. But Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he's not showing that. And then Mukunda Datta could see his Gadadhar's hesitation, and then he chants this beautiful verse. Yet, what's the verse? Oh God. Yam, what is it? Ho baki yam stana kala kutam. Jig hamsa yapaya babi sadvi. Labhegatim datri chadmadatam. Karbam, that's the last line. I should have done this before.
148.
Got a lot of support here today, it's good. 148. Labhegatim datri uchtam yam kamba dayalam varanam saranam brajema. That this demon, Putana, had tried to murder Krishna with the poison from her breast. And Krishna accepted the motherly disguise of Putana, and even though she was trying to murder him, still he gives her a higher birth in Golok as a nursemaid. This was a very, very, very powerful demon. Putana could not be defeated by Kamsa. Kamsa had to make a truce with Putana. She was so powerful, had the strength of 10,000 elephants. So Krishna, he sucks the poison out of her breast, and along with some of her breast milk. And as a result of that, Putana takes a higher birth in the realm of Golok as a nursemaid of Krishna. So this is the compassionate verse of the Bhagavatam, that Krishna can be so compassionate, and this verse is quoted to support Krishna's immense compassion. So when Pundarik Vidyanidhi heard this verse, sung in the beautiful mood of Mukunda Datta, then he completely went into a high state of bhav, and he just tore off his silk cloths, and his hair became scattered, and he broke all the opulent paraphernalia and the hookah and everything that was around him, the hookah, and thrashed around for 7 or 8 hours, my Gurudev describes, in his high state of ecstasy and bliss. And Gadadhar was witness to all of this, and was just amazed at the extent and depth of his bhavs that he was demonstrating. And then he became very regretful that he had committed some aparad in his mind against this, but he had judged this person. So he decided that he wanted to take initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi, would be the only recompense that he could make. So he went to Caitanya Mahaprabhu, or Nimai Pandit at that time, and he asked Nimai Pandit, because this pastime takes place in Navadvip, and he requested Mahaprabhu that he should take initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and Mahaprabhu said, very good, because of course we know that ultimately Pundarik Vidyanidhi is Vrishabhanu Maharaj. He's the father of Srimati Radharani, and Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani herself. So he's taking initiation from her father, which is a beautiful pastime. So also when Pundarik Vidyanidhi went to Jagannath Puri, there's a pastime there when he was somewhat critical of the pujaris. Remember that pastime? In Jagannath Puri, he was saying the cloth, like the hanky that was being offered, had not been washed properly. There was still the starch was within the cloth. So this, according to Shastra, is not really this is not commendable. It should have been washed properly. The starch should have been washed out of it. So he was seeing this in a somewhat critical eye. And at night, Krishna and Balaram, or Jagannath and Balaram, came and they began to slap his cheeks very hard in the night where he was staying. And his cheeks became all swollen from the slaps, and they told him not to criticize whatever the pujaris did in Jagannath Puri, that Jagannath Dev is the most compassionate and munificent personality, and he will forgive anything like this. So, but in the next morning, he didn't want to come out because his cheeks were so swollen and people would ask him what happened. So he stayed within the room. But Swarup Damodar understood something had happened, and he went to the room, and Pundarik let him in. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi related to Swarup Damodar what had actually happened. So Swarup Damodar was deeply touched by that pastime. But this Pundarik Vidyanidhi was an exceptional soul. He would never bathe in the Ganga during the day because he found that so many people were polluting the Ganga. They would just bathe and wash with soap and so on like that. They would shave their heads beside the Ganga and then put all the hair. And he was so reverential towards Mother Ganga. He would come down late at night and honor her, take a bath, but he wouldn't generally abuse in any way. He took Ganga Devi very, very seriously. But there are many pastimes about Pundarik Vidyanidhi that we remember today, because today is his appearance day. It's also the appearance day of Raghunath Das Goswami. So Raghunath Das Goswami is the personality who's revealing all of these pastimes directly to our Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who's giving us this Caitanya Caritamrta here in Radhakund. So Raghunath Das, we know the pastime. He managed to escape from home. His father would send out soldiers. It's interesting, just today, there's a particular brahmachari who was going to come and stay with me, but his father has bribed the police 7,000 rupees to catch him and bring him back. And he's 25 years old of age. And he was telling me that all over India, when the young boys become brahmacharis or something, the parents, they will pay some money to the police to bring the child back. And there's a standard price for it. It's 7,000 rupees, and it's standard. And the police will work for that. And they come to the village with a photograph of the child or the boy, and they hunt and they tell the residents, if you see this boy, tell us. And anyway, they're searching for him, this brahmachari that was going to come today. But anyway, I hope this doesn't track back and jeopardize the brahmachari. But Raghunath Das is exactly the same. This apparently is a standard thing. Especially Raghunath Das was the only son of Govardhan Majumdar and what's the other name? Govardhan Majumdar and the uncle. How can I forget this? Somebody write it on the deck, on the screen. Govardhan Majumdar and, sitting with a very ignorant audience today. Okay, no one's supporting me here. So Govardhan Majumdar is his father, and his uncle Hiranya Majumdar. Don't forget, write it down, because everyone forgets everything. So Hiranya Majumdar, they were his uncle and father, and Raghunath is the only son. It's described he was brought up in princely opulence and honor, because they were they were multi-billionaires, we can say, in those days. And because he would collect the taxes from everywhere. So there was a big cut that came to him. So crores of rupees would come through his hands regularly. So he was very favorable to the Vaishnavas. He's described as a Priya or Praya Vaishnava. He would support the Vaishnavas, but really the ultimate truths of the Vaishnavas hadn't penetrated his heart yet. So he was very materialistic. So Raghunath was born in this family, and he heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and just like Narottam Das Thakur, wanted to escape the family. It seems like a regular thing, to escape the family. And of course his family were very much holding him. And they decided ultimately they would find the most attractive wife to try and chain him home. This is what they do in India. Regularly they find the best, most beautiful looking woman to try to chain the boy home. But Raghunath was never interested. And finally he got to the festival of Panihati. Prior to that he'd been to Shantipur and he'd had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's when his heart had gone to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he only wanted to run to Puri and be with Mahaprabhu in Puri. But he was restricted. But when he went to Panihati, then he got the mercy directly from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's the beautiful pastime directly of Nityananda Prabhu, sorry. And there's a beautiful pastime when Raghunath is told by Nityananda, you're like a thief, you're just hiding on the back of the audience, you should come forward. And the disciples, they pulled him forward. And Nityananda said, now I'm going to punish you. You have to make a festival here, a feast. You have to feed all of these people chipped rice and yogurt and bananas and kheer and the dahi. So this is called the Chida Dahi Mahotsav, which happens every year at Panihati in just north of Calcutta. So at this point, Raghunath Das, he gets the mercy of Nityananda. Always the mercy of Nityananda is there, just like the other day we described when even Rupa and Sanatan had darshan at Ram Keli of Mahaprabhu. Just before they came into the audience of Mahaprabhu, Nityananda was present with Haridas. And Rupa and Sanatan, they got permission from Nityananda to actually come to Mahaprabhu. In every instance, Hey no Nitai Bine Bai Radha Krishna Paitinai, we cannot reach the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So this is the extreme example of that he gets the mercy from Nityananda Prabhu at Panihati. And then afterwards the wonderful pastime of his escape with Yadunandan is his family guru, who comes early in the morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, when the guards are resting, and tells Raghunath that the pujari hasn't come today. You have to come with me to the house of the pujari. So Raghunath, he accompanies Yadunandan through the paddy fields, and he suddenly realizes this is the perfect time for me to escape. There's no soldiers or guards around. So he tells Yadunandan, you can go back now. I'll just go to the house of the pujari and tell him to come and do his seva. So then as soon as Yadunandan leaves back to the village, then Raghunath takes off across the fields and he goes through all the back ways, because he's been caught many times by the soldiers and brought back to his father's house. And it takes him, it's described, 10 days to finally reach Puri. And he just stops at the house of a milkman late at night, takes some milk. The next day he runs on his way, all the back roads, all the way through to Puri, because his father immediately contacts Advaita Acharya and Srivas Thakur and what's the father of Kapi Kanpur's name? Shivananda Sain. He contacts him because he's taking a large group of devotees down to Puri. And Raghunath, of course, is not with that group. So his father is frantically searching. I don't know what the bribe was in those days. It's 7,000 rupees in these days, but it must have been something to the... So they're very familiar with the pastime. Anyway, Raghunath makes it to Puri, and as soon as Raghunath enters the assembly where Mahaprabhu is sitting and speaking with the devotees, immediately Mahaprabhu stands up and comes across and embraces him. Raghunath tries to run away, but Mahaprabhu grabs him strongly and embraces him. And then with his own hands he starts cleaning his body. And then he calls Swarup Damodar and puts Raghunath's hand in the hand of Swarup Damodar and say, now his name is Swarup Raghu. He's the son of, or the servant of, or the student of Swarup Damodar. And then for the next 14 years, he stays with Swarup Damodar. You can imagine what sort of association this is. This is Lalita Sakhi with Rati Manjari sitting together, remembering Srimati Radhika. So, and then at one point, Mahaprabhu gives him a beautiful Govardhan Shila, which he'd had for a couple of years himself. And he would bathe this Govardhan Shila with his tears. And he gives him a Gunjamala, one of these necklaces of conch shells. And that represents Krishna, and the Shila is representing Shri Radhika. And he would worship this, and Swarup Damodar told him exactly how to worship with different types of soft tulsi manjaris every day, 8 soft manjaris, and sandesh, some sweet. Because his father, it's such a long story, and I'm going on and on. I don't know how we're going to get to our topic today of chapter 6, but it's such an excellent pastime, and how can we just walk past these personalities? Because there are many other personalities also today. But Raghunath Das, he goes through the sequence, which is very wonderful to remember today. He begins by begging at the Singadwaha gate. You know, when you go right in front of Lord Jagannath, and there's the Singadwaha gate with Garuda sitting on the stamba, on top of the column. And he would beg there. And then Swarup Damodar would report to Mahaprabhu how Raghunath was conducting his life, how he was eating, etc. So Mahaprabhu would be hearing from Swarup Damodar. And then Raghunath gives this up. And then he goes to the free booth, and he starts taking the free food from the booth. Mahaprabhu says, very good. It's very good that he gave up begging, and now he's just going and taking the free food. But then Raghunath goes even further, because Raghunath, when he was younger, when he was about 8 or 9 years old, he's taken by his guru Yadunandan to have audience of Haridas Thakur. And his father allows him to go and visit Haridas Thakur, and my Gurudev describes at that time, Haridas Thakur imparts into his heart the total conception of renunciation. That becomes like an infusion into Raghunath's heart at that time, 8, 9 years old. And so Raghunath receives that mood of renunciation, which he exhibited all the way through his home life at home. He would not sleep in the general rooms of his father's place. He would sleep outside in the mandap, in the temple. So he'd cultivated this mood of disdain for anything material. He's the embodiment of renunciation. Raghunath.
Would it be that you get a higher bliss? It's not like you're renouncing something. You are experiencing a bliss which got diminished if you enjoy something else.
Yes.
It's not like you I don't want to give it up.
No, absolutely.
He's enjoying something which is so relishable.
Yes. He's having, because it's not ever
And then
anartha.
Mahaprabhu begs him, give me a little bit of this rice.
Yes. And then he goes to the Taringala gate. There's 4 gates around the Jagannath temple. And it's the gate where they traditionally throw all the leftovers from the kitchen for the cows to eat. And he would go to that place, the rice, and he would go to that place and take the rice that even the cows had rejected. And then he would bring that rice back, he'd wash it carefully, and then he would take some grains of that rice.
There's a hard portion in that rotten rice. So you wash off the rotten thing, and inside is a piece of hard something.
He would take that, and then he would take that, and that would sustain him. Because previously also his father had been sending him money, and he'd been entertaining the Vaishnavas, especially Mahaprabhu, with that money. And then he decided not to even take that money from his father. But then when Mahaprabhu found out about this, he immediately ran with Swarup Damodar to taste this rice and chastise Raghunath. What's this nectar that you're taking and you're not sharing it? You're not sharing any of this nectar. And he grabbed a handful and he ate a handful. And then he wanted to take another handful, and Swarup Damodar Maharaj, some Prabhu, stopped him. So, because we know the story of Sudama the Brahmana, And what was the consequence of him taking that chip rice was so much opulence. But Mahaprabhu had benedicted already Raghunath Das, and Swarup Damodar wouldn't let him take any more. So this was the embodiment of renunciation that Raghunath exhibited in Jagannath Puri. And then when Mahaprabhu left this world, the next Ratha Yatra after that, a few months, Swarup Damodar left this world also on exactly the Ratha Yatra day. And then many other Gadadhar Pandit had left that world, this world, and Raghunath Das felt absolutely bereft, and he decided he would leave the world also, but he would leave it from jumping off Govardhan Hill. He thought that if I'm thinking and meditating about Govardhan when I end my life, then this will be most auspicious for me. It's hard to imagine someone having that desire when you've had such high association to actually take your own life, when we know as devotees that taking your own life is never really an option, because Mahaprabhu has said himself to Sanatana Goswami, who was also thinking to take his life, because Mahaprabhu was embracing him when he had the sores on his body, and Sanatana Goswami didn't like that at all and was thinking to throw himself under the Ratha Yatra chariot wheels. And Mahaprabhu said, how can you do? You've given your life to me and you're wanting to take your life? It's my life now. I have service for you. So in that mood, Raghunath came to Govardhan, and then he was going to jump off Govardhan, but he thought he must see the Goswamis first, Rupa and Raghunath, and immediately Sanatana Goswami could detect what was on Raghunath's mind, and they told him, now you have so much seva to do here in Braj. And specifically he came to Radhakund, and he stayed in Radhakund for 40 years, practically more than 40 years. So he was like 14, 15 years in Jagannath Puri and 40 years altogether. And there are so many pastimes here in Radhakund, where there was a time when he was writing, and two tigers came to take water, and Raghunath was oblivious. He was chanting in his bhajan, but Sanatan saw him and demanded that actually I'll get some people to make a kutia for you so that you'll be protected from the tigers. And also another pastime when the sun was very hot, and Radharani came directly with a hasari to shield him from that. And again, Sanatana Goswami was requesting him to make a kutia to shelter him from the sun and protect him something from the tigers. But I'm saying this, and these pastimes are there to demonstrate to us today the extremity of his renunciation. At the time of, not renunciation, as you said very nicely, it was his absolute dedicated attraction to Radha and Krishna. When you're in that world of Radha and Krishna, why would you want to take anything from this material world? So he was in that state of consciousness all the time, which we really can taste practically from his writings of Vilap Kusumanjali. When we read Vilap Kusumanjali, that my dear Gurudev has written commentary, extensive commentary on practically every verse there, not all the verses, but most of the verses of Vilap Kusumanjali, something 107, 108 verses are there. And they've all got wonderful it's one of the only descriptions of how a Manjari conducts her life. So it's very important absorption for the sadhak to read and study carefully this Vilap Kusumanjali. So my Gurudev has given us this. This is a bouquet of lamentations from his heart in separation from Sri Radhika and Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Caitanya Mahaprabhu was his life and soul. So that also Raghunath Das Goswami has given us the Brajavilas Stava, which is the most beautiful compilation. There's 107 verses in this, glorifying all the different personalities, the insects, the forest, the trees, the rivers, the cows, the buffaloes, the cowherd boys, Mother Rohini, all the personalities of Braj, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Baba. He's given verses of glorification on each personality in Braj. It's the most beautiful compilation. Brajavilas Stava. And we can absorb that today. There's an English translation of that, which is very wonderful. But there's not a commentary of that by my Gurudev. And he also wrote, of course, Mana Shiksha, which is a guideline for all sadhaks, how to control the mind, my friendly mind, how to make friends with the mind. Unless the mind is controlled, how can any type of bhajan proceed? So the mind is most essential to rein in and come under control by affection and love towards Radha and Krishna. Then the mind will be controlled. So Mana Shiksha is another very beautiful compilation of Dan Kede Kamud. He wrote so many pastimes in Radhakund, and of course he manifested even the Radhakund that we have today. He was having this thought that he wanted to actually make, because it was just two ponds, Gauriket and Kaliket, these two ponds, one was light and one was dark, and they were just buffalo holes. And he had the desire at one point that he'd love to make it a splendid place as it was previously during Krishna's pastimes in Madhya-lila. And as soon as he thought this, he regretted, he was chastising himself. Why are you thinking such materialistic things? But then one Seti was trying to offer all his wealth to Badri Narayan in Badrikashram. And Badri Narayan told him directly, you take all this wealth to Raghunath Das. And at that time, the Seti asked Badri Narayan, how will I know who is Raghunath? And he said, he's the one who's weeping all the time. He just doesn't stop weeping. His eyes are just sunk into his head weeping. Actually, he had tuberculosis and all kinds of diseases like this. And he left his body at about 70, 75 like this. This is how old he was. But he wasn't an old man, but he was always debilitated with his health, because he practically, all he ate at the end of his life was just a leaf cup full of buttermilk. That was the only thing he ever took. And of course, there's the pastime. One day his servant was thinking, well, that's a very small leaf cup. I'll go and get a big leaf cup. Yeah, he goes to Sakistali and Chandravali's place, and he brings a bigger leaf back from there, fills it up with buttermilk. And Raghunath immediately, of course, why are you giving me such a big buttermilk today? Where did you get this from? He says, Sakistali. So Raghunath picks up a stick and chases the servant. You know, he's so much connected with the spiritual reality, with the apricot lila. He's so much, you know, in contact with it that another time he becomes sick, and the doctor analyzes too much sweet rice, and everyone knows that he's never taken sweet rice, but in his meditation he's taken some sweet rice, and he's become, you know, his stomach has become disturbed because of it. So Raghunath Das pastimes go on forever, but I'll stop here. We'll just remember, because here in Radhakund, Raghunath is considered one of the highest personalities. We have the Raghunath Pushpa Samadhi, which is facing directly Radha and Gopinath when we first come to the Kund in the Radha Gopinath. And then we come around the corner and we have the Bhajan Kutya of Raghunath. And then we go around another corner and we've got the actual Samadhi place of Raghunath, along with Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. The teen Goswamis are all there because they all left in the same year, but in different, the same date, but in different years. So there's three Goswamis. So we have three places where we can offer our homage to Raghunath Das in Radhakund daily. He's there, so we remember with great affection this personality, who the maidservant of Sri Radhika, so dearly beloved by Sri Radhika, which is exhibited in the Vilap Kusumanjali fully for our absorption. So Raghunath Das Goswami Ki Jai. And then it's also the disappearance day of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who of course is such a great personality and has given us so much literature. This Krishna Bhavanamrita, which is like the Govinda Lilamrita, and he's also, of course, he's like the reappearance of Rupa Goswami, because after Rupa Goswami, The 6 Goswamis, they were like the first personalities, and then there was, and including Krishnadas Kaviraj was like at the end of these 6 Goswamis. And then there was Narottam, Srinivas and Shyamananda were like the second generation, the second wave. Then after them is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is like the third wave of the teachings of Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami. So he again chews over the teachings of Rupa Goswami and gives us the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, just a drop from the Sindhu, a drop from the ocean of the Bhakti Ras that Rupa Goswami has given. He gives it to us in a summarized form, so it's more easily accessible to the more fallen people of the degrading age of Kali. People aren't getting any wiser, they're getting actually more, it's more difficult to think in this age because of the food and environment, pollution, all these things just deteriorate man's ability to think clearly. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his wisdom, he appreciates that and gives us the Bindu, and then he gives us the Kiran, which is a summarized version of the Ujjwala Nilamani. So these two wonderful books. And then in his later years, he gives us the Sa'artha Darshani, which is the commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. He gives, and he also gives us the whole Srimad Bhagavatam simultaneously also, his Sa'artha Darshani Tika in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And fortunately, we've had all this translated into English, so we can absorb these teachings very easily. So there are innumerable pastimes of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also. And of course he has his Bhajan Kutia in principally Gokulananda. His Guru Maharaj is Narottam Das Thakur. No, Narottam is Lokanath. But in the when you go to Gokulananda in a courtyard, you have the principal personality as Lokanath Goswami. And right beside him, you have Ganga Narayan Das, and then after him, you have Narottam Das Thakur, and next to him, you have Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This is like one family, more or less. It's very beautiful. So they're all under the shelter, ultimately, of Lokanath Goswami. So in his spiritual form, he's Binod Manjari, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. There's a pastime where some people at one point were trying to actually murder him because he was so vocal about the principles of following carefully Shuddha Bhakti, pure Bhakti, the rasa path, Rag Marg. And these personalities, for some reason, wanted to actually kill him, and they followed him on the parikrama path. And he came into a sort of grove, and all of a sudden these three men behind, they just saw a little girl was picking the flowers, and they asked, "Oh, have you seen Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur?" And he said, why do you want? I don't know where he is. And then somehow they realized that this was actually Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Swarup form. And then it's described they take initiation from him and they give up that desire to eliminate him. I can't remember the story clearly. Somebody else can actually fill in the gaps what I've made there. I've just said it briefly. I've indicated it like a hint, more or less. So you can follow up on that. So we have about 9 minutes left, but we have Raghunandan Thakur. Raghunandan is the son of Mukunda Datta and the nephew of Narahari Shaka. So these two brothers, Mukunda Datta is a doctor, a Vaidya, and one for the royal Nawab, and he was one day having to go to his service, and he didn't have time to perform the offering to Thakurji. And at that time, he requested his son, Raghunandan, who's about 7 or 8 years old, "Will you please do the offering today?" And his son had seen his father do the offering. So Raghunandan is Pradumna in the Chatuvyuha. That's his eternal identity. So he was asked to perform this offering to, I think it's Gopinath deity there.
Let's go, Paul.
Is it Gopal? No.
Yes, I read it this morning.
Okay, so it's Gopal. Okay, thank you. Okay, the audience is becoming, waking up. Okay, Gopal. So very good. So Gopal. They live in places near Kardaha. Shrikant. They live in Shrikant is the name of the village. Many Vaishnavas live there. Chiranjeev. Many Vaishnavas lived at that time. These were really the hardcore Vaishnavas who fully surrendered. Nityasiddha Parikas, many of them. Narhari Thakur is Manimati in the spiritual world, etc. So Raghunandan was asked to put the offering on the altar, and he comes in front of the altar, gives the offering, and then he calls Krishna to come and take it. Krishna, of course, is the Murti form, and he was not moving. So Raghunandan, in this childish mood, why are you not coming? Is something, haven't I performed all the proper mantras or anything properly? Please, you come, you come. And he's crying so impatiently that Krishna comes off the altar, and he takes the whole offering with great happiness. And then Raghunandan thinks, yes, now I've done my seva. And then he takes the empty plate out. His mother asks, where's all the bhoga? Where's the prasadam? He said, well, Krishna ate it. You gave it to me, and Krishna ate it. His mother, she can't compute what's actually happened. She knows her son wouldn't have eaten it himself. She can't understand. So when father comes home, Mukundadatta comes home, mother tells Mukundadatta about what happened. So Mukundadatta becomes he's wondering about this. So he asks him the next day to do it. But this day he hides behind the curtain to watch actually what's happening. So Raghunandan again is taking the offering plate in and appealing to to Gopal to please take the offering. And again, Raghunandan becomes very impatient and starts to weep. And Gopal comes off the altar and grabs the offering, and he grabs a laddu. And then Mukunda reveals himself from the curtain, and Gopal freezes. And if we go to that place today in Shrikant, you can see the same Gopal deity, and he's holding a laddu in his hand.
Half eaten.
Half eaten, yes. He's taken a mouthful of it. So this is, you went there?
No, but I read it.
Oh, you read it, okay. But it's a very beautiful place. You've been there, yeah. And this is Raghunandan. And there's also a pastime where he was dancing so vigorously, one of his ankle bells flew off. And when it flew off, it created a whole kund where it landed in a place called, what is it? Nupur Kund. But where is that place? Begins with a K, I can't remember. It's not Katwa, but it's another place with a K.
Katak?
Katak. No, I can't remember. But it's a place just north. And that Nupur created a lake at that place. So Raghunandan is an extremely exalted personality, and we remember him today. This is his appearance day today. And finally, we have the disappearance day of Srimad Bhakti Vivek Bharati Goswami Maharaj, who I don't remember very much about. Bhakti Vivek. We'll post something on the web. It's also the disappearance day of Bhakti Kamala Govinda Maharaj, who came to the Western world, and he was preaching with many people in the Western world. Very sweet person, disciple of Srila Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, and infused with the moods from Jiva Janardhan Goswami, who was full of rasic topics. And Bhakti Kamal Govinda Maharaj preached, I think he went to America, he certainly went to England, and he went to quite a few places. Someone is saying appearance day. Maybe that's today. Okay, appearance day of this Bhakti Kamal Govinda Maharaj. So we remember him, very sweet personality. He left, it seemed, prematurely in Vrindavan. He'd secured a property, and he had some followers were coming, supporting him, but he became very sick, and he wasn't properly attended to, and he left his body quite early, but a very soft. Did you meet him? He came to the West. You met him? Yeah. Very
it was good.
Sweet.
It was very nice.
Sweet
I went to his
person.
room in Vrindavan. Oh my God,
Yeah,
very sweet.
very
So
sweet personality. he would speak all these Rasik topics the same as my Gurudev would speak. He was fearless on that. So he's a great personality. So look, what have I read of chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya? But I've spoken about Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya yesterday. But today we are remembering all these personalities. And principally we're remembering this Basant Panchami, and we're remembering Vishnu Priya, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Raghunath Das, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, I didn't speak very much about, and Raghunandan Thakur. So all these personalities creates, just by putting their names into the ether today, and if you've been patient enough to listen all the way through, just hearing their names is going to create a special window of auspiciousness for you today, because all these personalities are from that spiritual realm, and they will come at the sound of their names today in particular. When it's their appearance or disappearance day, a window opens in particular. Any day we can remember these personalities, but on their appearance and disappearance day, it means we're a little bit serious because we are honoring their appearance and disappearance days. We're appreciating that in like real time, so to speak, so they can give us some special kripa today. So we're remembering all these personalities with great happiness and devotion. They're all connected directly to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's not one of them that's not connected. Vasant Panchami is...
I believe today the lightning which came, anybody of you saw that lightning or was there outside?
I heard.
It was purple.
It was
No.
what?
In my eyes, that lightning, it was purple color.
It was what?
Not white lightning, golden lightning, white light, LED lightning. It was bloody purple.
Purple.
Purple color.
Purple color. He's saying he saw some purple lightning today here. I didn't see that.
Anybody of you were outside?
I was driving on the way from the
On the
airport.
way. I was
Shook
sitting
the car.
outside.
The car was shaking.
That was a lightning for me. This was like, whew. Sometimes
It's a
the
very
thunderbolt, there's a special
auspicious...
thunderbolt which has color. It purifies the atmosphere.
It's a very, very auspicious day today. And it's quite uncanny that here we're sitting in Radhakund and we haven't had rain for about 3-4 months. And today it thundered and there was lightning and it was a distinct change. It was a mood. So, of course, all the devotees and Vaishnavas were thinking of all these personalities and the auspiciousness of the day. So it all becomes reconfirmed by these external weather conditions which are reminding us. So all in all, our faith should be strengthened and supported by hearing about these personalities, especially the external manifestations of these natural wonders that took place today also. So Avirbhav, Tirabhav, of all the sadhus, Ki Jai, Vishnu Priya, Ki Jai, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Ki Jai, Raghunath Das Goswami, Ki Jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, Ki Jai, Sri Raghunandan Thakur, Ki Jai, and Srimad Bhakti Vivek Bharati Goswami Maharaj, Ki Jai, who was a great disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. This, I don't know so much about his teachings. And Srila Kamala Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavibhyo, Namo Namaha. Jai, Ki Jai, Vasant Panchami Ki Jai.